The movie begins when the natural air and oxygen on Earth turn into a toxic gas, forcing humans to live in underground shelters for hundreds of years. Then the story goes back to the beginning, where we see, in the opening scene, a meeting with the President of the United States warning people about an upcoming disaster. He tells them that a poisonous gas will spread through the air, but he also reassures them that he'll help by building underground shelters suitable for living, capable of holding as many people as possible. After many years pass, we see that all humans in America have died due to the inability to control the situation and the complete pollution of the atmosphere, which led to the poisoning of Earth's. However, in one of the underground shelters, we find a man named Barrow living there, working alongside his friend Carr. Their job is to preserve people's bodies inside cryogenic capsules so they can survive longer. Even Barrow and Carr sleep in these capsules at night to ensure their safety. The next morning, Barrow wakes Carr up so they can continue their work. Carr gets up and starts by checking the atmospheric radar to see if there's any improvement in the air conditions. After that, Barrow hands Carr a paper listing the tasks he needs to complete that day. Carr gets annoyed and asks Barrow to help him, so he suggests they play rock paper scissors. If Carr wins, Barrow will help him. Carr wins, and they split the tasks between them, each heading off to do his part. Barrow checks the air filters and ventilation fans, worried there might be a leak, while Carr inspects the vaccines and medications. After finishing, Carr looks at the photos next to the medicine cabinet, focusing on a picture of his wife, Eva. Suddenly, he sees her standing behind him, asking when he's going to take her out of the capsule. He tells her he'll do it at the right time, and that she has to stay there until the air becomes clean and safe again. Here we realize that Carr suffers from hallucinations, and Eva is just an illusion he keeps imagining and talking to, while in reality she is inside a cryogenic capsule. Later, Barrow asks Carr if everything is working properly, and Carr replies that everything is under control. While they're talking, Eva appears again and begs Carr to take her out of the capsule because she wants to be with him, but he tells her to wait. Barrow asks Carr who he's talking to, and Carr denies it, saying he's just checking the capsules. Then they return to the main room, where Carr has been trying to find a way to clean the air on Earth's surface. But Barrow tells him there's no way to survive outside the shelter, and that they have to accept their fate and live there until they die. Even if they stayed for 100 years, no one would come looking for them. Later, Barrow brings out a chessboard, and they start playing to pass the time. When night falls, Barrow goes to the bathroom and asks Carr to prepare the capsules for sleep. Carr prepares Barrow's capsule, then goes to prepare his own, but he doesn't notice a warning signal from the system indicating that the electrical pressure is too high. He then brings the vaccine ampoules they take before going to sleep. At that moment, Eva appears again and tells Carr she feels like they're going to meet again soon. He tells her to go away because he's busy and needs to finish his work. But when he steps out, he's shocked to see that his capsule has burned, with fire spreading everywhere. He rushes to the bathroom, tells Barrow to get out quickly, grabs a fire extinguisher, and starts putting out the flames. Barrow gets furious and yells at Carr, accusing him of being careless and saying that if he had paid attention, this wouldn't have happened. They start arguing without realizing that the oxygen level in the shelter is about to run out. Carr apologizes to Barrow and starts thinking about how to fix the burned capsule. Suddenly, the power cuts out in the shelter, and the oxygen starts running low. Barrow and Carr rush to the main room to get the map, and they find the reserve fuel tank room, which they need to open before the oxygen runs out completely and they pass out. They manage to locate the passage leading to the room with the reserve tank, open it, and the oxygen starts flowing back into the shelter, but the power is still out. Barrow and Carr feel like these might be their last moments, and that they're about to die. Barrow confesses to Carr that he's married and has 3 kids, but the officials in charge of the shelters took them away and separated them, and he has no idea where they are now. While they're talking, the power suddenly comes back on, and the system in the shelter starts working again, which makes them both really happy. Carr suggests they go get a new capsule from the emergency room in another nearby shelter. Even though they're afraid that opening the door might let contaminated air inside, they carry out their plan carefully. They manage to go out, find a new capsule, and return safely to their shelter. Barrow takes the new capsule for himself and gets inside to sleep, but he hears a strange noise and asks Carr to check if there's an oxygen leak. Carr goes to inspect the system, but Barrow starts suffocating as the capsule lid closes over him. He struggles to get out but can't move at all. When Carr comes back, he's shocked by what he sees. He breaks the capsule open and pulls Barrow out. Carr apologizes for leaving him and not making sure he was safe, but Barrow is upset and stops talking to him. Then they receive a warning that the reserve oxygen will run out in just 1 hour. They start thinking about how to get another capsule lid. Barrow suggests taking one of the frozen people out of their capsule and killing them to use their capsule lid. Carr refuses at first and says it's impossible for him to take an innocent life just so they can survive. But as time runs out and there's no other option, he reluctantly agrees. Carr prepares a syringe with a drug to end the person's life after taking them out of the capsule. Suddenly, Eva appears and tells him not to go along with Barrow's plan, insisting there's another way to get a capsule lid. She explains the idea, and Carr agrees with her. He goes back to Barrow and tells him he has a better solution than killing an innocent person. They can get another capsule lid. Barrow gets angry and lashes out at Carr, but eventually he agrees. They go to the main room and discover through the control system that there's another shelter nearby, different from the one they visited before, where they can get a capsule lid. However, reaching it requires going outside and being exposed to the contaminated air. Carr decides to sacrifice himself and leaves the shelter wearing a protective suit to retrieve the capsule lid. He walks through the underground corridors and notices blue particles floating in the air, a clear sign of severe contamination. He keeps moving while Barrow guides him through cameras and a radio. Carr reaches the door of the nearby shelter and knocks hard, but no one answers. He finds it strange since every shelter is supposed to have 2 guards like them. Barrow tells him to go around to the back entrance, where there's a ventilation shaft he can use to get inside. Carr hesitates because he suffers from claustrophobia, but Barrow eventually convinces him. Carr enters through the ventilation shaft, and is shocked to find dead bodies inside. He reaches the end of the shaft, finds it open, and quickly gets into the shelter. But he's stunned when he realizes the place is completely empty. No one is alive. Carr tells Barrow that everything they're going through might be a lie, and that all the nearby shelters are destroyed. He says they might be the only ones still alive, and that everyone else, both on the surface and underground, has died. After that, Carr decides to head back to their shelter since he found nothing useful in the other one. When he arrives, Barrow refuses to open the door and points a gun at him. Carr is shocked and asks why he's doing this. Barrow tells him he reviewed the camera footage and saw him carrying a weapon before he left, believing he was trying to kill him. Carr tries to defend himself, saying he only had the weapon for protection, not to harm him. But Barrow doesn't believe him, refuses to open the door, and leaves him outside to face his fate. At that moment, Eva appears and guides Carr to a secret passage he can use to get back into the shelter. He manages to enter through the hidden corridor, and as he gets inside, he takes off his protective suit. Shortly after, Barrow shows up and tries to shoot him, but Carr manages to escape and hide in one of the rooms. Carr starts talking to Barrow, begging him not to kill him, saying they're the last living humans. But Barrow doesn't care and keeps searching for him. Carr manages to get away and heads to the medical room. There, Eva appears again and tells him to poison Barrow and get rid of him, because if he doesn't, Barrow will kill him. Carr takes a syringe and fills it with morphine, planning to inject Barrow. Carr goes out to look for Barrow inside the shelter but can't find him, so he heads to the surveillance room to locate him. He's surprised when he doesn't see Barrow in any of the rooms. Suddenly, Barrow appears behind him and fires, hitting Carr in the shoulder. Carr, hurt and confused, tells him they're friends and asks why he's doing this. At that moment, Eva appears again, and Carr tells her they'll meet soon. Barrow loses it and yells that no one else is there, asking Carr who he's talking to. Carr pulls out Eva's photo and shows it to him. In that moment, while Barrow is distracted by the picture, Carr takes the chance to attack and escape. Barrow heads to the capsule room and finds a girl sleeping inside a capsule that looks like the one in the photo. He threatens Carr, telling him to come out if he doesn't want the girl to be killed. Suddenly, Carr sneaks up behind him and injects him in the neck. The poison starts spreading through Barrow's body until he collapses to the ground and dies. After that, Carr returns to the main room and prepares to go to sleep. He gets into the capsule, saddened by the loss of his only friend Barrow, remembering the chess games they used to play together. Years later, we see the capsules beginning to open, and we learn that Carr was the one who opened them, and that he's the one who brought Eva out and embraced her. In the end, we realize that Carr had lost all hope, as there was no way to clean the air from the toxic gas. In the final moment, he embraces his wife, and they both die together. And that's the end of the movie. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, your opinion matters, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel.